Part 17, not moving. I know that hand like the back of my own paw. No! Ruby screams. Uncle Ivan! I check the crowd. No sign of Julia or George. Nothing. No Maya either, or other keepers I recognize. Just a few employees, several rescue workers, and two of the three dazed-looking visitors. Is he alive? A firefighter asks. Hand, whatever it's called, isn't moving, says another. Weaving my way through the tangle of legs, I climb up the rubble pile, sniff a bit, and bark my loudest. Yes, he's alive! Get your rear in gear, bark! Just like those overachieving rescue dogs in the Man's Best Friend show. I listen for a sound from Ivan, a grunt, a cry for helping. Nothing. Still, he smells alive. At least I think he does. And that's good enough for me. Xena, another dog, races over, a tough looking German shepherd wearing an impressive glowing in the dark vest and some booty things to protect her feet from the rubble. But I hold my ground. This is my friend we're talking about. I lick Ivan's hand. His fingers twitch. Well, that's all it takes to get both of us barking like maniacs. More people gather. I see Maya next to Ruby, which makes me feel better. Name's Xena, says the shepherd. Bob. I nudge Ivan's finger with my nose. Nothing. And this is Ivan, my best bud. Sorry to hear it, she replies, and I don't like the sound of her voice. With great care and far too slowly for my taste, rescue workers begin removing chunks of wreckage and tossing them to one side. Xena and me, we mostly stay out of the way, but every so often I lick Ivan's hand, just so he knows we've got him covered. I glance over at Maya and Ruby. Maya is wiping tears from her eyes while she strokes Ruby's ears. Ruby is giving Maya a comforting trunk hug. Good old Ruby, wise beyond her years, that gal. I check the crowd again. Still, no sign of Julia or George. And that's when a sickening thought hits me like a bite to the belly. What if Ivan isn't the only one under the rubble? Dragon. More police cars and ambulances arrive at the park. A handful of keepers stream in, too, looking frantic and confused. The weirdest thing of all, wondering through all the destruction are are random park residents, animals, birds, reptiles, residents who most definitely do not belong in gorilla world. A police officer is chasing an armadillo. A great blue heron watches the mayhem from her position atop a giraffe statue. A wallaby pokes his nose out of the bush, his saucer eyes catching the fire engine lights. Nets! Someone yells, We need more nets! An older gentleman holds a blue umbrella, lets out a blood curdling scream. Dragon! He cries. I swear to you, I just saw a baby dragon. Sir, says keeper named Malik. No worries. That's actually a Gila monster. His name is Jillian. A paramedic raises his hand. They have like venom, don't they? They say a healthy adult won't die from it. Malik shrugs. Although they'll be in some serious pain. Wonderful, the paramedic mutters. I glance over my shoulder to see Sarah running towards Maya. I can't hear her words, but I can definitely see the worry in her eyes. Xena's ears tip forward. They're getting the cutter and the jaws of life. Jaws, I repeat. Don't like the sound of that. Spreads metal. They're probably getting close. Come on, we need to get out of the way. I ain't going anywhere. I hear ya, she says. And I can tell from the weary sound of her voice that she's had this conversation before. But the best thing for Ivan right now is to let the humans do their thing. I think about it, figure she's right. I give his finger one last lick. They don't move. Nothing. Nada. We pick our way to the bottom of the derby pile. Hang in there, Ivan, I call. We love you, buddy. I know it's crazy, but I listen anyway, hoping for a sign, any sign, that he's still with us. Hugging. I run to Kiani. Don't worry, I tell her. He's gonna make it. I can tell she doesn't believe me. From there, I head over to Maya and Sarah and Ruby. Maya has a radio handset in one hand and, for some reason, a young, squirmy meerkat in the other. Sarah kneels down and hugs me tighter than any sweater she's ever knit. Bob, she cries, what happened to your nose? And look at your paw. Some dog don't like to be hugged that way. I'm one of them. But Sarah needs to do it. I can tell somehow. So I let her. Isn't so bad, really. Loose. A new police officer join us. Officer Williams. She nods at Maya. You're with the park, right? Yes, I'm Maya. This Officer William pauses. We need to get his this under control as soon as possible. Winds are gonna pick up and we haven't even hit the eye. Storm surge could be an issue. This one's moving slow. We've got a skeleton staff here, says Maya as the meerkat attempts to eat her earring. Early reports says maybe a third of the habitat are damaged or destroyed. She shakes her head. We've got some injuries, some possible fatalities too. Human? Don't think so. Anything loose that could be a, problem? Maya presses her lip together. Yep, such as a couple Florida panthers, gray wolves, python, maybe possibly an alligator or two, American alligators, not Chinese. I don't care if they're from Canada. If they eat people, we're in trouble. They don't, typically. Typically? Officer William repeats. Well, that's reassuring. Sarah loosens her grip on me ever so slightly. Maya, she asks, voice trembling, have you heard anything on the radio from George and Julia? I keep calling, but the cell tower are down. Nothing yet, Maya says, but I'm sure they're fine. Nearest shelters over at Lincoln Elementary, says Officer Williams. You could check there. Sarah frowns. They were probably here right before the tornado hit. We're searching the park, ma'am, says the officer. We'll find them if they're here. Everybody clear out. A firefighter with a megaphone yells from a spot near Ivan. Could be danger of more collapse. We're working on the last metal beam. I look to see if Ivan's fingers are moving. Nothing. Hold on, Ivan, I yell. Nothing. Sometimes nothing is the worst sound in the world. Ruby lets out a little elephant cry, and then I realize maybe that's the worst sound in the world.